everybody, it's Adam with HeartValveSurgery.com, and this is a very special surgeon question and answer session all about bicuspid aortic valves and valve-sparing aortic root replacement. I am thrilled to be joined by Dr. Eric Roselli, who is the Chief of Adult Cardiac Surgery at the Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland, Ohio. During his extraordinary career, Dr. Roselli has performed thousands of heart valve repair and heart valve replacement procedures. Dr. Roselli, thanks so much for being with us today.
Hi, Adam. Great to be here.
Yeah, and so Dr. Roselli, given that we've known each other now for over 30 years, I'm going to call you Eric for the rest of this conversation.
You knew me before I was a doctor. You should be calling me Eric, please.
Yeah, and so let's, for everybody out there, we met at the University of Michigan back in 1990. And so we'll say go blue one time for me, and Eric, you can say go blue. And so let's get into it. Let's get into it, Eric. At HeartValveSurgery.com, about 30% of the patients have bicuspid aortic valves, and 20% of patients have aortic aneurysms. These are both something that are your specialties there at the Cleveland Clinic. Can you maybe help them understand this unique association or relationship between a bicuspid aortic valve and an aneurysm?
Yeah, the aortic valve lives in the aorta. And so if you have an abnormal valve, it's not surprising to know that a significant proportion of patients will also have a problem with the aorta. The two things really, they function together, they go together, and sometimes the diseases that affect one can affect the other. It's not a straight connection, though. It's not necessarily a causative relationship as much as it is an associated relationship. So about 2% of people have a bicuspid aortic valve, and amongst them, somewhere between 30 and 50% of them will have what we call aortopathy, or a disease of the aorta that makes it prone to become an aneurysm or get enlarged. Sometimes the two things go together at the same rate. Sometimes the aneurysm develops later. Sometimes it's just the aneurysm involved and the valve is working just fine. But the real, the really reassuring thing is we can take care of both at the same time just as safely as we do one by themselves.
So Eric, let's get into that conversation about fixing or treating a bicuspid aortic valve and an aneurysm in one procedure. I'm curious to know, as I'm sure all the patients watching this, what is your recommended approach for treating a bicuspid aortic valve and an aneurysm?
We actually have to tailor it based on the details of the disease that we see. So in other words, one or the other, the aorta or the valve, can be the thing that brings you to the operating room. And we have to have a long-term sort of view of each of those. So in some patients where the bicuspid valve is functioning beautifully and the root of the aorta is a normal size and shape, and yet the aneurysm is sitting above, that's kind of, that goes with it, is sort of the problem. We might just take care of the aneurysm, leave the valve alone, leave a living valve alone, right? And then in some people, the aneurysm doesn't involve just the ascending aorta kind of above the valve, but it can involve the root of the aorta where the valve lives. That's got to all go, that abnormal aorta. But if that valve, even bicuspid valve, looks like it's healthy tissue and in the leaflets, we can spare that valve and do what we call a valve sparing root replacement operation, or David's procedure. That's a particularly complex operation, but something we're seeing, we're doing more of, and so are some other centers.
So Eric, I love how you are tailoring different procedures for different patients with diseases that might be variable when you're looking at them in the operating room. One of the questions that came out of your last discussion, I'm sure patients are wondering, is valve sparing the native tissue. You are very adamant that that's an optimal result here if possible. Can you tell the patients why that is such an important possibility for them and for their life?
Right now, the options for valve replacement are really good. They can take, your heart and put it in a place where it has a well-functioning valve. But the current options have limitations. Either you require blood thinners, or the valve is going to wear out because it's not alive. Or you can have other issues, even with the Ross reconstruction, where you take a live valve but put a dead one in another position, right? So there's limitations to all those replacement options. If we can save a living valve, that valve can handle the wear and tear of opening and closing 100,000 times better than the others, as long as it's not started down a pathway of degeneration. And so a lot of patients who come to us, they're with a bicuspid valve or other, the valve is leaking, but the parts themselves still look like healthy substrate to work with. And we can reconstruct the aorta around it and put that living valve in a happier home and get it lined up in such a way that the mechanical stresses upon that living tissue are ideal. Hopefully that translates into it being a much more durable option for those subset of patients.
Eric, you kind of set the goal, right, with the valve sparing procedure if possible.
Yeah.
You also talked earlier about the complexity of this procedure. And I'm sure patients are wondering, why is this more complex, and where can I get this done? And maybe you can talk a little bit about your outcomes there at the Cleveland Clinic.
I'm going to get into some detail about it because I think it's important to understand the valve is not just these moving parts, like it is in a man-made valve where you got something on a hinge. The valve's function is dependent upon all of those structures, the opening to the heart, the annulus, the sinuses of the root from which the valve is suspended. All those things need to all be aligned and come together in this really beautiful harmony for the valve to work well. And if parts of that are abnormal, like the aneurysm, and yet parts of them are good, we can spare the good parts and reconstruct the bad parts. That's the way we think about it. And so in the aortic root, you've got all those moving parts. It's a complex operation to put it back together and keep the living parts aligned in just the right way. So that's an area of expertise that you won't find everywhere. Although we're seeing more and more as the field has advanced, more and more surgeons are able to do these valve sparing operations. It's particularly complex in a bicuspid valve situation. And so specialized centers tend to do these more. At the Cleveland Clinic, we do about 125 valve sparing root replacement operations a year, and about a quarter of those are in patients with bicuspid aortic valves. So it's at least several times a month. And our outcomes have been excellent.
Eric, congratulations to you and your team there at the Cleveland Clinic on those outcomes you mentioned for valve sparing procedures. I got to ask you this question, which I'm sure a lot of patients are wondering, is what advice might Eric/Dr. Roselli have for me, the patient, specific to a bicuspid aortic valve, an aneurysm, and the possibility of having a valve sparing procedure?
It's a complex decision-making process anytime a person comes in with a bicuspid valve, especially when they've got the associated aneurysm. And then the question about, complex treatment options like valve sparing, root replacement, and valve repair throws a whole nother element of complexity. So my advice to the patients are, bring as many questions as you need to the table to understand whether you're a candidate for that. And know that it may be based on what you bring to the table as a patient with regards to what your valve or your aorta looks like, or even your own desires about lifestyle, avoiding anticoagulation, et cetera. But that decision-making process also requires some input from the operating team and what they bring to the table. So ask them about their experience with the very different treatment options that you have available to you, why they think you may or may not be a candidate for the various options, and whether it's based on issues that are related to you as the patient or issues related to them and their own outcomes and expertise in those areas. That should be an open discussion about all those different elements that come into play when you're working as a team to make a decision about what's best for you in a personalized way.
I love how you're encouraging patients to use a shared decision-making approach to their aortic valve and aneurysm diseases. And I just want to take a minute to thank you for sharing all of your expertise with the entire HeartValveSurgery.com community. I really appreciate you taking time away from your very busy practice there at Cleveland Clinic to help us learn more about bicuspid aortic valves, aneurysms, and valve sparing procedures. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Adam. It's always great to talk with you. I really, appreciate being a part of this and helping to increase the knowledge in the space, empower our patients, and it's always great just to chat with you. Hopefully we can get together live one of these days soon.
Hi, everybody, it's Adam. I hope you enjoyed that video. And don't forget, you can always subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch the next 2 educational videos coming up on your screen, or click the blue button to visit HeartValveSurgery.com.